Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zollo. It is our quarterbacks, breakouts, and sleepers episode. Folks, it's the middle of May, so we're really just gearing you up for what we expect. And is there a chance that some of this stuff changes in 3 months? Sure. Let's have some fun talking points while we can here on May 21st, 2025, talking some quarterback breakouts and sleepers. The usual gang of suspects are here tonight. Let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended. Why the hell are you up there? Presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zollo. Welcome. I don't know why did we all
never
get
happened
changed
before.
around?
I was gonna say I just went back to the old one, and I don't know why it threw me up there, but whatever.
It's ding dong. All right. Well, now we're here. Now we're normal. Everything's okay. The pyramid scheme is alive and well, like Mary Kay. So
that was good.
Thank you.
That's good. Way better than your title.
This is a clever tag. If you pay attention to the news, this is a breakout. I was going to say breaking out like acne, but I was like, you know what? This is topical.
No.
There's 10 prisoners. Now I think 4. They've caught 6 of them.
Yeah.
But they're on the loose.
Passed out on a bench.
Yeah. Imagine breaking out from prison and getting caught because you're passed out on a bench. That's just laziness.
Yeah.
That's like Leonard Fournette level eating McDonald's in the offseason laziness.
There you go. There's no recovering from that.
Well, he had a decent career.
All the guys in prison are going to make fun of you now.
Am I going to prison? Is this
not you, the guy who got caught? Oh my God.
I was like, is this foreshadowing? Damn. All right. Underdog plug. I didn't get that in the mail. Just have my Apple charger. So Josh, go ahead.
Oh my goodness, Joe. Jesus Christ. Read a show sheet. No, learn about anything we do at Club Fantasy. My goodness gracious.
It says Underdog plug. I read exactly what it said on the show sheet.
Word for word.
We've had this partnership for almost a year, by the way. Just throwing that out.
Plug.
I
don't let you talk Fantasy. A lot, so just take it when you can.
Use promo code WOFF, WOFF, and get yourself a free pick and a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Why do we bring this up? This is the summer. This is best ball season. Yep. This is what everybody is doing right now. So if you have not signed up on Underdog yet, do us a quick favor and enter promo code WOFF, WOFF. When you do so, get yourself a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 and bonus cash, or in bonus cash, excuse me, and plus a free pick. It's all there. Great money. Everything that we're going to be talking about heading into the summer, a lot of the ADP is all based on best ball drafts because redraft season really has not started yet because people just aren't doing drafts probably until the end of July, right? This is where we're getting all of the ADP. So if you have not signed up and are not drafting best ball teams, do it using promo code WOFF. Help us help women in sports.
If you're a New Yorker like me, Underdog just came back again last week. So we are now able to play Underdog again. If you were out of the site or never used the site, you can probably use that promo code to get some free bucks as you come back. So
give it a sec. You're not going to be able to bet on it in about another 72 hours. So
don't jinx
it. Or you could put all your money and then just bet Caitlin Clark on stuff. Like just throw in 1,000, they'll match the 1,000. Yeah. And then you just bet 2,000 on Caitlin Clark's points, and
or 25,000 on a triple double and turn it into a third of a million. So.
Infinite money glitch when you think about it. First one from Cole. What up, Cole? Dynasty. Obviously, we're talking best ball quarterbacks today, but we take all questions. Benson or Charbonnet better for Dynasty? I think I know everybody's answer here. We're all going to say Trey Benson, but I could be wrong. We're not big Zach Charbonnet fans on the show.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, I believe, are the exact same age. So it's going to take an injury for one of them to really surpass the other. And I talked about this a lot last year. Walker tends to handle like 2/3 of the important work for Seattle. We wanted to bury James Conner last year. He obviously shut us up. But the fact of the matter is Father Time is going to win the James Conner battle. And you have to believe Trey Benson was a guy a lot of people liked, smart people liked last year. It's just all of the running backs last year landed in very strange landing spots. You have to believe things are going to open up for Arizona. Overall, I think Trey Benson is the better fantasy asset.
So this is kind of how you look at it, because honestly, these guys are the same to me. They're exactly the same. Both of them are second-round picks. They're highly touted prospects coming in their respective draft classes. Benson is behind an old running back who just happened to play a 17-game schedule last year, and the team rewarded him with a new 3-year contract. Charbonnet is behind Kenneth Walker, who we all love, typically pretty efficient, wasn't very efficient last year, has a brand new scheme, brand new coaching staff this year on the offensive side of the football that tends to feature 2 running backs, right? So Charbonnet is going to see his fair share, but Walker's still going to be the predominant back in this offense. The thing is, though, Walker does not have that new contract. Walker could be on a very different team next year because he's heading into, I believe this is year 4 for him.
Yeah,
so
Charbonnet's in year 3.
What's up?
Charbonnet's in year 3, which Walker's in 4.
Yeah. So Walker may not even be in Seattle next year. Charbonnet then has at least 1 year to prove himself as the feature back in this offense. They're the same player, in my opinion. Their situations are no different. So I don't know that there really is a true answer. At that point, it just boils down to, would you, do you prefer one skill set over the other? I like Benson in that instance, but they're the same back, in my opinion.
You know what Charbonnet is. You don't know what Benson is. Benson is drafted by the head coach that was there. Charbonnet is not.
There's that too.
Pete Carroll is now in Vegas, and Charbonnet is not going to go to Vegas with Ashton Genty there after his time is up. So Benson's the better value by far. And yes, drop your draft questions in here. We're happy to help wherever we can. Are you guys still hearing me fine? You're lagging on my screen. I want to make sure that you're...
Yeah, it's 100% on your end, Joe. You sound and everything's going well on our end. So
okay, great. Cool. Shut up my old-ass PC that I need to upgrade. Quick NFL news and notes. The tush push will not be banned. There is a 26-minute video on the Philadelphia Eagles YouTube page.
Elite trolling, by the way. Elite.
That is all tush push.
Their social media team has been on it today. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen, you shouldn't ban a play just because one team's really good at it.
I mean, if that's the case, then why didn't they try to ban the forward pass when Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning were all doing it, right?
I mean, the only thing you could really say is this is like the flying V formation. Like, that's the only thing you could say. Like, that's really like the only comparison, because they did ban the flying V from kickoff returns because that was overpowered back in the 40s or 50s. That was very early on. But I think the thing that people are just angry about is when they line up, nobody is lined up properly according to NFL rules. Like, the guard is hat and hat with the center. The center's head is over the ball, making him offsides. It's like starts in the middle of the center. So like, just call it.
Yeah,
like
enforce it the way it's supposed to be enforced, and
Yeah.
then see if defenses are able to stop it.
I was about to say, if they line up how the NFL is supposed to line them up, the chances are it's not as successful. Not saying it won't be. It probably still hits at a 70% success rate instead of like 95. But if you line up normally and you line up how you should, it's probably not as successful. So I think the NFL needs to enforce that if teams are pissed off about it. Also,
but again, like when you look at the language of the proposal, it was all about, it had nothing to do with how they're lined up on the formation. It was pushing the quarterback, right? Which again, even outside of that play, offensive linemen still push a running back. They still push a wide receiver that's fighting for those extra yards. That is the exact same concept of this play.
Yeah.
So if they're so mad that it wasn't banned, they need to learn English and write the damn proposal properly to really go after what they're trying to do. You can call the play an eyesore all you want. You can call it a rugby play. When people that play rugby tell you that it's not a rugby play, that to me is the funniest fucking thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, Yes, it's not the most attractive thing, but you know what? Neither is a QB sneak or a kneel down to close out a game. Are we banning those plays too? No.
Well, it's just like line up properly. Like the refs just need to call if they're in an invalid, like Jawan Taylor lining up 7 yards in the backfield at left tackle. We can't be doing that. Like, so like, that's the thing is you have your guards literally hat and hat, and the ball is the center's head is offsides. That's in the neutral zone. He's offsides. You have to call that. Plain simple, you have to call that.
Yeah.
So just call it how you should. And is it going to piss Nick Sirianni and the Eagles off? Probably, but you have to call it.
You have a quarterback
properly.
that squats 600 pounds. Even if you take away the tush push, they're still going to QB sneak on short yards.
Well, my thing is,
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
And even if you force them to line up properly, I don't think it's going to affect the Eagles in this situation. I don't know. It's
no, that's what I said. Like it goes from like a 95% success rate to a 70. It's still going to hurt them, but they're still, it's when Tom Brady's quarterback sneaks for his career was 95%. That's an insane statistic. Jalen Hurts is still going to be good no matter what, but the tush push just helps.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is. And Cole, yes, we will happily help again, like we said, with the draft. Quick, before we get into Cole's little team, Sarmer note, Jim Irsay, I mean, within an hour of this recording has passed away.
That was a shocking tweet to get.
I did not realize he was only 65. I thought he was like,
I thought he was a little older too, but then you notice how he acts. Not always an 80-year-old that would act that way, but
yeah.
Well, I just thought he was a little senile.
I was
like,
gonna say, I don't expect billionaires to act like the rest of us. So.
Yeah. So, R.I.P. Jim Irsay.
Yeah.
Bet all your money on the Indiana Pacers because the last tweet Jim Irsay put out was "Go Pacers," pretty much. Hey. So, it's
say what you will about the guy. That man rode and died, I guess is a terrible thing to say for Indiana, though. He strapped up for
He was
them,
all about the state and all about the Indiana teams,
100%. 100%. From Colt, real quick, his team is Malik Neighbors, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Garrett Wilson, RJ Harvey, David Montgomery, Colston Loveland, Olave, and Benson.
If you're building for a future, like that's a really good start, honestly.
Yeah.
We're going young.
I love the first 3 picks. I assume these are the order you took them in. If this is super flex and you got Bo Nix in the 3rd round, my goodness, that's a steal. Yeah. I don't love it for you after that. I think Garrett Wilson, there's a lot of questions. I think that's early for RJ Harvey. Monty, I'm a fan of. I don't know. I don't trust Loveland. There are going to be people who adore this team. You may not know.
But you know what, though? You can get a quality veteran tight end late. Like you can get a Zach Ertz to hold off for this year.
And that's what I was going to say is
Pat Freiermuth in the 10th round.
I notoriously build my dynasty teams older. So your first 3 picks are a dream come true for me. Wonderful picks. I would have erred on the side of established later on. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not that great at dynasty.
Well, this is how you build a dynasty team.
I was just going to say.
Some people also build dynasty teams for 2 years. I'm just saying that I'm not going to hate.
5 years. Are you kidding me? Like, this is a great start.
Listen, I'm not going to hate. All I'm saying is don't love the running backs.
Yeah.
And Olave at flex is not great.
You don't build your dynasty teams around running backs.
I was going to.
You don't.
I agree. But I want to bring something. I want to pop this up here because this has been a recurring theme for me. Cole said, "Yeah, there wasn't much for running backs in the 5th round. That's for sure." Guys, I'm doing best ball drafts, and because of the underdog stuff, I'm over on DraftKings right now. I am getting to the 5th round of drafts. And I'm like, I really have to put one of these guys on my team. Like, I am hating players this year like I have never have in years past. And I'm going to be interested to see if that changes as the summer moves along. But I agree with Cole. You hit that 5th round and the running back talent pool dries up hard.
Why do you think I draft
more about running backs next week?
Yeah.
Why do you think I draft running backs in the first 3 rounds? Because there's none there after the 4th.
Yeah.
They're horrible. And in Dynasty, I understand you don't build around a running back, but that's just tough. Quincy says, would you guys draft Pickens over Sutton?
I would not.
No, in neither scenario of dynasty or redraft. I would.
Oh no, I would in dynasty. I'm sorry. 24 years old and now tied to Dak Prescott. In dynasty, I would rather have Pickens, but
he's tied to Dak Prescott for one season.
That's fair.
Let's remember this.
Well, there's still the age factor. Cortland Sutton turns 30 this year, I believe. I'm gonna go Pickens in that situation. I love Sutton, don't get me wrong, but I'll go with the younger asset in dynasty. But if this is redraft, it's Sutton by a lot.
Yeah, pretty handedly for me. Yeah, I don't. It's very difficult for me to take a bona fide wide receiver 1 on a team over a wide receiver 2. And I know all this talk about, CeeDee Lamb saying, oh, it's not a 1 and a 2, it's a 1 and a 1. It's not an A and a B, it's a 1 and 1. Like, sure, Pickens has been a 1. He still has never been a 1. Let's get this real here. He has never scored over 5 touchdowns in a season. That's not a wide receiver 1. Okay. Sutton is a dog, plain and simple. He's Bo Nix's number 1 target. That's the guy that you want in redraft.
I like both guys, but yeah, we're going Cortland Sutton because where did he go to college, Josh? Where did Cortland Sutton go to college? SMU, wide receiver U. You bet your damn ass he went to SMU. All right. Now getting into quarterback breakout sleepers here. We're basically going to go through different sets of rankings. So your quarterback 1s, your quarterback 2s, your quarterback 3s, and kind of talk about each and every one of them. But going into some strategy talk here. A lot of us are on the wait and take a quarterback train. So why should you wait on a quarterback? Ryan, I'll start with you. Instead of taking one of the elite options early. We are all very much, please don't overspend on a quarterback unless somehow like Josh Allen's falling to you in like the 6th round.
That was the comment I was going to make now is my threshold is moving up. Again, going back to what we said, where I'm starting to hate the draft around the 5th, 6th round. So if one of the elites has fallen, which I'm seeing every now and then, I'm definitely willing to go a little earlier if I'm grabbing one of the guys that I really, really like. The fact of the matter is it seems to be a top 5 and then the rest. And so I am always going to err on the side of the rest because the top 5 usually are falling in fantasy and your standard redraft. They're going in the first 4 rounds. And I can find great wide receiver and running back talent in those first 4 rounds. And then I can grab a guy later on. The prime example is last year, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was a 12th round pick if he was drafted at all in your league last year. He finishes as the QB4. There seems to be a guy like that every year that is a plug and play starter. You just need to find them. And there are options along those same lines. It was Jaden Daniels last year. There aren't options at running back, at least not that are not immediately obvious and that you don't have to spend all of your fab on. That's the other thing about quarterbacks is even when they break out, they're kind of cheap.
So real quick, so we can reel Cole in from the ledge here. Cole, you're in a super flex. You're taking quarterbacks early. Yeah,
100%.
We're talking 1 quarterback leagues. You are waiting in 1 quarterback leagues.
Yes, we're talking your standard redraft, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, just what we all got started playing.
Yeah, because in redraft, Bo Nix is available in like the 10th.
Yeah,
he's not he's in Superflex. It's just shock that he's there in the 3rd.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really want to look into Superflex ADP right now because I feel like Bo Nix in the 3rd was robbery. I'm a big Bo Nix guy.
I know it's Dynasty and Caleb was the 101, but you got Caleb over Bo Nix. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy. So yeah, no, you're fine. Superflex, you're going to take quarterbacks early. You probably shouldn't leave past at the latest, the 3rd round without a quarterback.
Yeah, that's usually how I handle my startup drafts. I'm getting at least 2. I typically trade out and trade back over those first 3, and I'll get, my 2 quarterbacks in 3rd round. The last startup I did, I got Drake Maye and CJ Stroud back to back at the end of the 3rd round.
Well, and you guys have all played. Well, Joe hasn't played in a Superflex league with me. I take it a step further, and Josh knows this. I trade rookie picks to get a second first-round pick because I am walking out of that first round with 2 quarterbacks. I do not mess around. In our most recent Superflex Club Dynasty League, I walked out with Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. I was like, okay, now I don't have to worry about quarterback ever again. So.
Yeah, now you're vibing. Yeah. And yes, real quick, Cole, just to name some. Is Cole new? I haven't seen Cole in here.
Yeah,
the name off the top.
New name.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome back, Cole.
Yeah.
But Cortland Sutton, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Rashee Rice, you don't realize how many good receivers have actually come out of SMU.
Yeah.
So that's the running joke, is that they do always create a pretty reliable receiver. From Mr. Bakes a lot. What side are we having in a Superflex tight end premium IDP?
Woo! You are hitting
Dynasty.
literally
This is all you guys.
every show we've
Bam.
done for the last.
Well, to be fair, Josh, there is no
there's
IDP.
here.
So we're assuming Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler in this whole thing.
Okay.
Jamar Chase and Aaron Rodgers, or Marvin Harrison Jr., JJ McCarthy, a 2026 and 2027. So 2 first-round picks, MHJ, JJ McCarthy, or Jamar Chase and Aaron Rodgers.
How many
I would
teams?
rather.
That's the big question for me.
I would rather Jamar Chase. I don't know, like.
I'll take the package. So Josh is the tiebreaker here.
Yeah, I mean the package. It really depends on the team. Like how many teams in the league. Like if this is a 14-team league, you're taking the package, plain and simple. If this is a 10-team league, to me, you can justify the Jamar Chase side very, very easily. Like I went through and I traded a mega package.
Yeah,
you
were talking about this on my mock draft.
Like I traded Marvin Harrison and 3 first-round picks for Jamar Chase. Like that is an absolute haul. But my quarterback situations in a super flex are already handled. It's a pretty shallow league. It's a 10-team league.
No.
Like,
his is a 12 team.
Is a 12.
His is 12. Okay. Like
I'm sending Jamar Chase because here's the thing.
I think I might prefer the package to that because I mean you have to look at it this way. Even though JJ McCarthy has not played a snap,
nothing about him.
We know nothing about him. He's still worth at minimum a first-round rookie pick at minimum.
Well, yeah.
So essentially, I was going to say, Josh, this is essentially 4 1s in Superflex for
at minimum
for Jamar Chase.
Yeah, which again, it's a lot, but he's the 101 of non-quarterbacks in Dynasty. Plain and simple.
I'll throw this out there.
He's not cheap.
I can be talked into Joe's side and apparently Josh's side. I can be talked into it as long as you're not having to rely on Aaron Rodgers. If this whole thing is Aaron Rodgers is my QB2 this season and for the presumable future because you don't have a 26 or a 27-1, the answer is a hard no for me.
That's fair. I will give you that. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, the ones are going to do nothing for you because they're not going to be Jamar Chase. So I'm on the Jamar Chase side easily. Josh, I'll come to you for this question. What characteristics do you look for in a quarterback that helps you determine a what we call sleeper category or a breakout player, such as a Baker Mayfield last year?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I'm looking at, first off, they got to be in a capable offense. Okay. If the offense sucks, there's very little chance for a breakout. Rushing floor is definitely big. I'm looking for at least 400 yards. If they can get me 400 yards plus, they have a pretty solidified floor that can elevate them into even that low end QB1 range. 2 other things that I'm looking at is an upward trajectory from previous seasons. So like whether they're in their 3rd year, their 4th year, whatever it may be, and we've seen progress going up. It hasn't been a lot of like this or this. Like I want to see stepping stones, right? Like Drake Maye finished the season pretty strong. He's got a proven coach that's coming in. He's got a new running back there. They're working stuff out at wide receiver. There's no big weapon there, but Drake Maye showed that he's got a solid running floor, right? So there's a potential there for some upward trajectory. We'll get into other candidates as well going into the show. The other thing that I'm looking for, and I think this is a really underrated aspect of what people should be looking for in breakouts or sleepers when it comes to the quarterback position, high efficiency. And one specific metric I'm looking at is touchdown percentage. So the number of attempts or the number of touchdown passes divided into attempts. At 5%, you can hit that 30 touchdown mark. That's what I'm looking at. Because your floor basically for the quarterback position to be in that sort of like top 10, top 8 range, like you're looking at 4,000 yards, you're looking at, 30 plus touchdowns, right? So that touchdown efficiency, those are the metrics that help you in projecting, hey, this quarterback has the opportunity to get into this range, because all those guys that are rushing for 400 plus yards, they already have a built-in floor that these other guys don't have.
I personally use my eyes.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it than just eyes, Joe.
Is it? Is there?
It really is.
Okay.
Because your eyes can tell you one thing, but scheme and metrics and all that other stuff play into it as well.
Well, my eyes tell me that Justin Fields is a bad passer, and I think stats just back me up on that. But they
100% they do.
Yeah.
But then when he rushes for 1,000 yards, he's a top 6 quarterback.
And I'm not mad about that. But Justin Fields is a bad thrower of the football. We don't need analytics to tell me that. I need my eyes to tell me that. My eyes can tell me that Angel Reese can't play basketball. But the stats tell me she's a rebounding machine. Did you know that 9 of her 17 rebounds in game 1 were off her own shots?
I think
because she's bad. That's an eye statistic. That's not a statistic.
Because we're not talking football, we're talking fantasy football, which you're proving Josh's point. Your eyes would tell you Fields sucks, but a 17 game Justin Fields is a top 10, top 7, top 5 fantasy quarterback.
It's the same. 100%. It's the same thing you go through when you're ranking cornerbacks. You want bad corners for fantasy, right?
Correct. Horrible.
There you go.
Hate them.
That's
terrible.
what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I want bad corners. 100%. But that's the thing. I don't need a touchdown differential percentage algebra equations. I actually Justin Fields rushes for 80 yards a game. Cool. 8 points. That's all I need.
I didn't give you some off the wall, deep ball percentage analytics. It's touchdown percentage. That's it. It's a very simple metric.
I watched Joe's eyes gloss over when you were
talking. I didn't hear. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? The chat's popping in May. What the hell's happening? Cole.
I wanted to clear it up. Josh and Steven are having a small debate in the chat. I think Steven might be talking about that this is our first show of the 26 redraft or 25 redraft season.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's where he was going for.
Technically, it is.
Yeah, I say it really is.
Wow, Steven, you don't watch IDP shows? What the hell?
According to our metrics, Steven nor anybody else watches IDP.
Listen. It's my one show. Right?
It's one of my favorites to do every year. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Some good quarterback threes. So this is going to kind of jump us down to the 25 and 36. And I'll preface this.
But if we're talking about this in Dynasty, it actually changes things up a little bit.
So yes, just a little bit, but let's just play off. So why we use underdogs rankings is this is the truest form of redraft ADP.
Yeah.
Because most people don't, rightfully so, don't start drafting until late July, early August, which is still asinine crazy. You should wait until after Labor Day to do your drafts.
Josh answered this in the chat as well. I believe it was Cole asked about Shadur Sanders. Jason Wood for Football Guys just put out a wonderful Dynasty article on QB draft capital. And the numbers are bananas when it comes to first and second round drafters finishing as QB 1 to 12 or QB 13 to 24. It's almost exclusively players taken in the first and second round. Essentially, quarterbacks taken in the first and second round are the only quarterbacks who matter for fantasy football, and the numbers bear that out. Go take a look at the article from Jason Wood. Your eyes will be shocked at the numbers he put out there for you.
So I understand where you're going. They don't have Deshaun Watson's out. They don't have a first or second round guy on the roster. So it's wide open in Cleveland.
I think Shadur Sanders is a weird wild card, but the point of Jason's article is if people are offering you high picks for Tyler Shuck, move Tyler Shuck. The odds are so stacked against anybody not taken in the first round. And then the second round has a little bit of
shorter leashes, plain and simple. They don't have near as much.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for ages. Who was it, Josh? Who was it? Was it Hutch who gave that great stat that first round quarterbacks have played 80 games on average or something like that? It's bananas. So
I think the stat is something. There's 80% of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL were drafted inside the top 50 picks.
Exactly. So
I mean, if you're looking at the top 12 quarterbacks last year, Lamar, Allen, Burrow, Mayfield, Daniels, Goff, Bo, Hurts is the only one outside the top 50. Darnold, Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert. And then you go further down, Geno and Brock Purdy. After that, you're looking at all first or high second round picks. So it's tough, but Cleveland's a unique situation.
Before this year, my favorite QB3 in Dynasty Fantasy Football was Baker Mayfield. I was able to get him in every draft. That probably is not happening in your draft. I'm going to guess what Baker has done the last 2 years has shot him up the boards in your draft. He's probably not even available as your 3. A guy who we're going to talk about later in this show that is probably still there, go get Bryce Young. I bet he's still there. And Bryce Young is the new Baker Mayfield in my book. And obviously they're not the same player, but for Dynasty narrative, Bryce Young, Baker Mayfield, Spider-Man meme. So,
if you're looking at the 25 to 36 currently on Underdog, Bryce Young, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, A. Rich, Shadur Sanders, Russell Wilson, Jaxson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Joe Flacco, Derek Carr. Obviously, Derek Carr is retired. The next person there is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
So the last 4 I said, you're not taking any of them because they're all old and garbage.
Yep.
Millie, I saw you put Danny Dimes. He's not QB3. He's barely a QB5.
Right now, he's not even a starter.
Well, I was going to say, I think what Millie meant was he's the best QB3 in Indianapolis. Riley Leonard, it too.
It's not wrong. But looking at that, I mean, yes, Bryce Young, if he's there. If you want the rookie dart throw, no pun intended, Jaxson Dart. But this is according to what Underdog is. Obviously, in Dynasty, that's going to play a little different. Jaxson Dart is probably gone because he's a younger quarterback, but we don't know. Vic, Swift, Benson, Pollard. I don't know if we're ranking them, if we're giving our thoughts in general. We did mention Benson. He's basically Zach Charbonnet from what Ryan and Josh had said.
Just a clearer path to volume.
Yep. Tony Pollard, I like. He had a great season, and he's a 1-2 punch. Swift is weird. They didn't do anything to like.
Well, I want to go back to the Tony Pollard thing.
Go ahead.
It's not a 1-2 punch. That is Tony Pollard's team. If Tony Pollard stays healthy, Tajay Spears is an afterthought. I put Pollard ahead of this group, but I also like Swift.
Yes, but they still try and use Tajay Spears a couple times.
It was like
he found himself hurt a lot last year.
Yes.
And that really limited his involvement. And I would not be surprised one bit if we see a lot more Tajay Spears this year if he's able to stay healthy.
I think we see him more on third down, which all that matters is, does that hurt Tony Pollard's receiving upside? Sure. But what that also does is give Pollard a breather, which he very clearly needs a second guy to give him some time off the field, which all that matters.
They definitely were not about the Tony Pollard breathers last year.
No. Ran that boy into the ground. And with Swift, I mean, this year you could argue he has the best value because what the hell did they do to give him any competition back then? They didn't do anything.
Unless you're a big Roschon Johnson believer and you need Ben Johnson to also be a Roschon Johnson believer, there is no competition for DeAndre Swift.
Yes, he has a wide open
unless they make some kind of move.
Yeah.
During training camp or something.
Yeah, you'd hate to see
Swift
Nick Chubb end up
and
there.
That's, but again, like if Nick Chubb's not coming in until August,
there's that.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they make a trade, like Travis Etienne, let's throw that out there. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that like the 7th round pick, Monungai. Sure, he could have.
Yeah, Steven just brought him up. That's funny.
It's a 7th round pick. Like
that's my thing.
Those aren't people that you bet on, right? Like you bet on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round draft capital. Occasionally the 4th, given the depth of the position, whatever. But like we all said, Ben Johnson's already traded DeAndre Swift once when they were in Detroit, right? So like everybody fully expected DeAndre Swift to get traded from this backfield, and then they didn't. So that should tell you that right now, like based on this offense, Swift is going to have a pretty prominent role unless something changes in the next few months. So like for me, I'm ranking these guys Swift, Pollard, Benson, but Swift and Pollard are still pretty close in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with a rookie quarterback.
I agree.
In Tennessee.
Let's get this one out of the way in unison. 3, 2, 1. No. You're not drafting Ashton Genty over CeeDee Lamb. It's not even close. It's not that we love Ashton Genty.
Adore him.
Adore him. It's not even they're not in the same league. They both play in the NFL.
You need Ashton Genty to 100% be last year's Saquon Barkley to make this pick, and you cannot guarantee that in any way, shape, or form.
He needs realistically 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns his rookie season, and that's just on the ground.
Yeah,
you can't compete with CeeDee Lamb.
Nope.
It is Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Sure, Justin Jefferson maybe
Jefferson and Neighbors are the four that all need to be mentioned together.
It's that, and then there's another
and then
tier.
You get into the running backs.
Yeah, that's the surface of the earth, and then you go all the way down to the mantle for the next tier. You're skipping the crust. There's just they're just in such a stratosphere, especially Lamb, and Jamar Chase is just by himself in the atmosphere. Yeah. No, that one's far gone. Would you guys rather have Daniels and Maye or Daniels and I imagine Nico Collins? Is this?
Yeah, this goes back to what I said earlier. I'm walking out with two quarterbacks every time. Daniels 100%. And Maye is it for me. So
100%.
So the ADP would kind of suggest that you probably need to take him at the end of the second round, Drake Maye. Again, I got him late third.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of people that aren't looking at Drake Maye the way that.
Don't you feel you could get Nico Collins later, though, in a super flex?
No, not at all.
Yeah, we actually had this whole debate on our last mock draft with Josh in the chat because Nico Collins is going somewhere near the third. But
he's going almost 2 rounds ahead of AJ
Brown.
And they're the same freaking receiver, yet AJ Brown is better and more consistent.
Because he has that one higher number next to his name in Dynasty.
I mean, I get that, Nico's younger. But
by 1
year. Literally a year.
I know.
Younger.
I'm
and hasn't dealt with some of the injuries. So Brown hasn't.
I'm shocked. I like Nico Collins, but I'm not hey, let's start drafting him in the second round. Nico Collins.
That's exactly what we talked about on the mock draft show on Friday.
There's a lot of quality wide receivers that you can very much justify in that top 12 rankings, right? I mean. And we'll get to this question from Cole here in a little bit, but Jefferson, Chase, Lamb, Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Puka Nacua, you can throw Nico Collins in that conversation. There's plenty of people you can. And the community is, I promise you.
I'm happy for the community. They also put Anthony Richardson at 5 last year. So
the community actually had him in the top 3 in Dynasty, but that's neither here nor there. Amon-Ra St. Brown in that same conversation, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that you can make the case that belong in that first round, especially over some of the running backs that aren't going to have near the lifespan in Dynasty or the long-term value that you will at wide receiver. Quarterbacks are never cheaper than they are on draft day, plain and simple. I would be looking, if you're taking Daniels, I'm guessing you probably have a top 3 pick, Steven, which means you probably have a back end of the second. I'm fine if you want to stay and take Daniels. I would much rather trade back in that first round and get a boku draft pick haul, whether it's 26 first, 27 first, and a second, third, whatever it may be.
The guy at 9 or 10 is probably willing to give you his rookie pick next year, and then you can get 2 quarterbacks in this situation. So
yeah, there's definitely that chance. But based on that question, I'm taking Daniels and Maye.
Easiest layup of the
I was going to say, the fact that this 100%. Is a question now is the funniest thing to me ever. And I'm not making fun, Vic. I'm just saying how the mighty have fallen in regards to ARs.
Should we draft Anthony Richardson or Josh Allen?
Well, I'll never stop quoting us when we said, why draft Anthony Richardson when you can take Jaden Daniels 7 rounds later?
Yep.
And we nailed that.
Boy, were we right.
Now, we're not going to tell you that Geno Smith is winning you leagues, but Geno Smith will stay in the lineup.
In this situation, if I don't need to start either one of them, I'm taking AR just for the upside. I don't know what it is, but I know what I'm getting from Geno, and it's boring as hell.
Boring and
it might be boring, but it's still going to be 4,000 yards and 24 touchdowns.
And
boring.
17 games
and 17 games played
instead of 6. 3 due to management issues, not even injury.
I'm just saying this is I don't look forward.
You know
what
your heart wants to say.
I know what I would do, and it's Anthony Richardson.
And you're wrong, and that's okay.
And I'm okay to be wrong.
Yeah, as long as you admit it.
Yeah.
Mr. Bakes a lot back in here again. You guys, the Browns quarterback room pecking order is Pickens and Gabriel, 1 or 2, Flacco at 3, Sanders at 4, and Watson at the massage parlor.
Don't read much into this. That's how they had to build the depth chart right now. Just
who's Pickens? Who am I blanking here? Pickett. Yeah, I was like, who's Pickens? Thank you. Yeah, Kenny Pickett. At this rate, I think Flacco starts week 1.
They're saying Kenny Pickett is the favorite to start right now.
I think Pickett ends up.
I'm sure that's what they're saying
for the majority of the season.
I think Flacco. I think Flacco ends up on the street. I think they keep the 3 young quarterbacks. So
hey, that man is a treasure now, right? Ever since he left Baltimore,
I'm saying he's not.
Yeah,
I'm just saying the Browns have no need for Joe Flacco. They're not winning shit this year. If Joe Flacco is not your starter, you cut that man loose and you bet on the youth.
Yep.
Joe Flacco is your future at 40. Joe Flacco.
Sad part is I can very much see the Browns saying that.
Look in the mirror.
Tom Brady, you got 4 more years out of him.
Look in the mirror. Jump scare. It's Joe Flacco. Is Neighbors a top 3 dynasty receiver? Yes.
Absolutely.
What?
You can make
if he's not 3, he's
definitely
4.
make the case.
The top 4. The top 4 are the top 3, are the top 2, are the top 1. You can tell me any of the top 4 are your wide receiver 1, and I'm not fighting with you about it. Not one iota.
Well, Jamar Chase is 1. You could interchange 2 through 4.
Neighbor, if we're
you
talking
can make the
dynasty,
case for Justin Jefferson. He's done it. He's done it 1 year longer.
Chase and Jefferson are the same age. Neighbors is the youngest one of the group. CD
Actually,
Lamb,
Brian Thomas Jr., I believe, is younger than Neighbors.
Oh, Brian Thomas Jr. does not belong on this quite yet.
He had a better season than Neighbors last year.
A better season doesn't make you a better player. He had Trevor Lawrence versus.
Was it
Which
Neighbors
offense
hurt?
do you like better, Liam Cohen's or Brian Daboll's?
Neither.
Okay.
Okay. Which quarterback do you like better?
Neither.
Okay.
Can I pass?
Just say.
Can I punt on the question? Can I rank them outside the top 3, both of them? Because I fucking hate everything about the teams. Neighbors is younger than BTJ, says Cole. Yeah, I think Chase is one that you can interchange.
There's no wrong answer.
No.
They're
At the very minimum, Neighbors is top 5.
I'll take that back. Brian Thomas Jr. is the wrong answer.
Brian Thomas Jr. is not a top 3 dynasty receiver. He's probably in the top 7. He's not a top 3.
I think
you can make the case for Brian Thomas Jr.
I think he's 6 for me.
Yeah, and 6 is great. All right, 42 minutes into the show. Maybe let's talk about the show a little bit. We're gonna have to fly through it a little bit. But we will happily keep answering questions because that's more entertaining.
You guys are great. We appreciate you.
Yeah. QB's 13 through 24 currently on Underdog. Justin Fields 13, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud, JJ McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix Jr., Tua Tagovailoa, Matthew Stafford, and Cam Ward. How can you read that name and not change that X to an S? Like, how could you? Nobody can. Nobody can. All right. Based on the qualifications, realistic chance to finish as top 12. Now, this guy is on the graphic, and he is number 13. So it feels like cheating that we're just maybe moving him up 1 spot. But, Josh, you have Justin Fields.
Yeah. I did it for a specific reason because I personally am a lot lower on Justin Fields. He's my QB 20, not QB 13. Wow. So I don't have him as the same kind of value.
Because of his passing.
But it would be very naive of me to think that he can't finish as a QB1 when he has finished as a QB1.
This is you just hedging your bet, you little bit.
No, it's not even hedging the bets. It's education. This is what this whole show is about. No. It's making sure people understand values and all this kind of stuff. In 6 starts last year, Justin Fields was the QB6. He averaged 19.1 fantasy points per game. And this is standard QB scoring, which is 4 points per passing touchdown. In 4 of those 6 games, he had, more than 10 rushing attempts, I believe. 4 of the 6 games, he was under 30 pass attempts. Yeah. He had 5 rushing touchdowns in those 6 games and only 5 passing touchdowns. So the upside there with the passing is just not there. That's not his game. It's not ever going to be his game. But when you look at his years as a starter in Chicago, the 2 years that he started the most amount of games, 2022, that was the big year. 1,143 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns. He finished as the QB6 starting 15 games. In 2023, he played 13 games, finished as the QB 13 in points per game, only had 2,500 passing yards. But again, 657 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to identifying these types of breakouts and sleepers. You're looking at rushing floor. This is going to be a new offense for him. I know everybody wants to say, oh, he loved throwing to the tight end position in Chicago. Sure, maybe that will translate, but it is a new offense. This is a derivative of Detroit's offense. They do not have the same components. That is not unheard of, right? They don't have an Amon-Ra St. Brown and a deep threat like a Jameson Williams, but they have a Garrett Wilson who you could argue has more talent than both of those guys.
Yeah.
They also have a pretty solid running game. They have a Breece Hall. They have a Braylon Allen. They can create a 1-2 punch similar to a Jahmyr Gibbs and a David Montgomery. But the other component to that is Justin Fields is going to run a hell of a lot more than Jared Goff ever did.
Yeah, I was going to say. Breece Hall is David Montgomery. Justin Fields is the Jahmyr Gibbs.
You might as well be, right?
Question.
So there's what's up?
Are people really saying Justin Fields likes throwing to the tight end? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's been a narrative. Yeah.
Do they remember that season where Cole Kmet had 0 touchdowns with Justin Fields quarterbacking
the
all
infamous
17
Club
games?
Fantasy season?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know if people remember that season, but it wasn't good for the tight ends on that roster. So
Yeah,
well, it was in
Luke
terms of target share.
Getsy saved Cole Kmet. So
yeah, that is 100% true. But again, they don't have a real starting tight end right now. They have Mason Taylor, sure, that's great, but he's a rookie. He's very unknown. So there's
Conklin
a lot
gone?
of differences here that
Chargers.
Yeah.
Rip. I just have Chargers.
So there's going to be a lot of figuring out. So what you're betting on with Justin Fields is that rushing floor.
Yeah, you're plugging in a running back, a quarterback with the hopes he throws 2 touchdowns. That's
I mean, I have nothing to add to what Josh said. It's the rushing upside. And we said this, the 1,100-yard year. There was that run, I can't remember who it was against now, where Justin Fields made that bananas run up the sideline. And at that point, we said Justin Fields can do things on the field that other quarterbacks flat out cannot. And that's what brings you the upside to get Fields where he needs to be.
There's one guy that could match Lamar's straightaway speed.
Yeah.
It's Justin Fields. That's the only guy.
Yep.
If you're ranking the best runners at the quarterback position in the NFL, it is Lamar, and right below him is Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 best pure runners at quarterback in the NFL.
And I'll just build off of what Josh said. The first one I would mention in that same exact sentence is Drake Maye. Because the fact of the matter is this, there were Josh Allen, Drake Maye rushing ability comps, but we don't know what we're going to get out of Drake Maye from the rushing touchdown. And that's what makes Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts so elite every single season. If Drake Maye becomes a 6 to 8 touchdown rushing guy as a full-time starter, he's a top 10 quarterback every single year. He doesn't have the rushing ability of Daniels, Jaxson, Fields, but those touchdowns are what could make him different. I haven't seen it from Maye yet. I only have him projected as like 4 touchdowns right now. But if that were to jump up to 6, Drake Maye would push my top 5 damn near. So.
He led quarterbacks last year in yards per carry. Fun fact.
Yeah.
With like almost 10 yards per carry.
Yeah, I love me some Drake Maye this year. Hopefully Stephon Diggs is back from the injury and doesn't look like a 30-year-old. But even, he can get peppered with volume. So I think knowing
the New England Patriots scouting team, he's probably going to look 30 and old. So that's just my guess. Josh, you have 2 others on here, but again, running up on time. But the 2 others were Jordan Love and Dak Prescott. Jordan Love has another new toy that will inevitably flame out, but he's normally good for some love. And
I can wrap up both these guys really quick. Jordan Love, the biggest thing I'm looking at is that touchdown percentage. Back-to-back years, over 5.5%. What killed him last year was the over-reliance on Josh Jacobs. He only threw the football 425 times in 15 games. Josh Jacobs has a history of heavy workloads and then falling off the next year. Guess what? He had a heavy workload last year. He's one of only 6 running backs in the NFL that had over 300 carries. Guess what happens this year? That number is going to come down. You don't draft a wide receiver in the first round to not throw the football. So Jordan Love's going to be back up in that top 12.
Well,
and with Dak Prescott, it's really simple. He's done it before, plain and simple. They have a trash running game with Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. We don't know what we're getting out of the 2 young kids, Phil Maffa and Jaden Blue. So they're looking to throw the football. They go out, they get George Pickens. That's one of the better 1-2 punches in the NFL. We've seen Dak throw heavy volume before. He's been over 32 pass attempts each of the last 4 seasons. Over 32 pass attempts per game, This lineup is set up to throw. He has that potential for over 4,000 yards, over 30 touchdown passes. That's why that breakout exists.
Yeah. I mean, he has CeeDee Lamb attached to his name.
And there's that.
That's pretty simple. Helps. And, with how much money he's making, obviously he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
How it goes.
However much you're paid is obviously how good you are at football, at the quarterback position, with the top 12 making 3 Super Bowls and winning none of them. So it's crazy how that works. Ryan, I'll give you your guy. I knew you were going to put Justin Herbert at 1. It wasn't even a question.
One of my top 12 guys, though.
Yeah, and he should be. He should be in the top 12.
Yeah, he cracks the top 10 for me. Talent-wise, there's no debating Justin Herbert. It's a volume question, and I don't see them being much different than last year. And I believe Herbert was 12 last year.
Herbert
11 last year.
I'm seeing 12.
Okay, it's going to be different scoring along the way, but yeah, Justin Herbert was a top 12 quarterback last year, and now you're getting him for not that. You're going to have a better Lad McConkey. You're going to have a running game that people have to respect. There's a world where Justin Herbert ups his 23 touchdowns to 26, 27 touchdowns, and all of a sudden he's pushing the top 5 as well. So I'm happy with Justin Herbert in the later rounds. That's for sure.
And the new toy out of Ole Miss, who's the receiver?
Trey Harris.
Trey Harris. I wouldn't say Trey Smith. I'm like, I knew the last name.
I mean, and they brought Mike Williams back. It's not gonna be great for Mike Williams, but it's gonna be good for Justin Herbert. So
I can't wait for the Mike Williams 2 touchdown, 80
and the whole world is ranking him top 15.
Everyone's Mike Williams is back. First 50-50 ball the next game, broken ankle, out for 8 weeks. That's
separated shoulder.
That is written all over the gravestone of Mike Williams.
But the weapons are there, and Josh tried to talk us off the ledge last year with Justin Herbert that it's easy for us to point and say this offense doesn't pass. This offense hasn't had a quarterback like Justin Herbert since Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco was damn good in this offense.
Joe Flacco didn't run this offense.
What are you talking about?
Did for a year. That was it.
Yeah, and he threw
Actually, no, I take that back.
I did research on this for an article. He had a solid year.
He started the 2020 season before Lamar took over towards the tail end of that. So, yeah, he only had 1 year, half a year, really, in this offense. But
okay,
last year was the second highest pass attempts that Greg Roman has ever called in an offense.
Really?
It was still the second lowest of Justin Herbert's career, but it was the second highest for Greg Roman.
Good for Greg. Second lowest of Herbert's career, and he finished top 12. It's pretty good. Not too bad. Moving into the sleeper section, 25 to 36. I'll remind you guys, we did just mention them. Bryce Young at 25. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Anthony Richardson, Shedeur Sanders. Again, that will probably change come the time of the redraft season. Especially if he's not playing, that could be a Dylan Gabriel. That could be a Joe Flacco. We'll see. Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Joe Flacco at 35. Derek Carr is 36. Obviously, he's retired. Kirk Cousins is 37, so we'll slot Kirk Cousins in at 36 right now. From this group, one guy finished top 10. It was Sam Darnold. He ain't doing that this year. That's not happening. But is there anybody from this, and we've already mentioned it, and Ryan, will go to you because this is your guy. This is your darling, and this is the hang your hat moment for you if it does happen. Bryce Young.
I if you guys watched the show in the last 365 days, you've heard me talk about Bryce Young and what he did to end last season. And that is why I'm excited. Over the final 9 games of the 2024 season, Bryce Young scored at least 1 touchdown in every one of those last 9 games. 6 of those games, he scored multiple touchdowns, and he was a top 12 quarterback during that span. He hasn't put up numbers that set the world on fire, but it was a rocky season, and I believe they're going to go into this season with all the confidence in Young. No more of this will he, won't he, is he going to get benched? We love this offense for fantasy, this Dave Canales offense, and for the hyperbole that you come to this show to hear me say, they got their Mike Evans now. Tedero McMillan is a 6'4" wide receiver 1, something that they haven't had. They've been relying on the corpse of Adam Thielen. Now you got Ted playing the X role. You got Thielen that you're going to be able to move around a little bit more. You got Xavier Leggett who can move into a more traditional role. I like what this offense, how it opens things up for Bryce Young, and not a terrible running game in Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. Like it's going to be a very interesting offense. He just feels like a steal at his ADP. I am going to be so tempted to punt quarterback in so many drafts and hang my hat on Bryce Young this year, and I'll go down with this ship. You guys can believe me with that. So,
yeah, you may not know it. Bryce Young had 24 passing touchdowns last year.
Yep.
For a guy that was benched in the middle of the season, that's a really good number for a quarterback, especially when running backs were the ones taking over last year.
Josh, you also said Bryce Young, but because you obviously knew Ryan was going to say Bryce, to go in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at this list, it's really easy for me. It's Jaxson Dart. I don't expect Dart to play much this season, but there's a world where the rails come off very quickly for the New York Giants. Have any of you looked at their schedule? They could be 1-7 after 8 weeks.
Hardest schedule in the NFL.
Most difficult in the NFL. It is bad. So if the wheels are off that quickly, there is literally no reason for them not to put Jaxson Dart in to see what they can do. In 3 years at Ole Miss, 2 of those years he had 100 or more carries. And every single year, he was over 550 rushing yards. That is a floor that you want from your quarterbacks. Sure, if you want to point to Anthony Richardson, all right, cool, whatever. We've already seen what he can't do. You haven't seen anything with Jaxson Dart. So to me, he's somebody that if you really want to draft and stash, sure, but just wait. He's going to be on waivers. That's fine. You can pick him up whenever the fuck you want. He's absolutely free. Nobody else on this list has really any sort of promise when it comes to fantasy football. Yes, we saw it with Sam Darnold last year. Completely new system. I will not bank on that at all. But if somebody really wants to say, hey, he's a late round dart throw, it's exactly what we're saying about Bryce Young. It's exactly what I'm trying to say about Jaxson Dart. There's value there, sure, because again, we've seen it before. I'll take the guy that I know can probably rush for 500 yards if given an opportunity.
They took Dart in the first round, right? Am I okay? I was gonna say it's all about that draft capital. Yeah. So
you could very much see a situation with Dart this year that we saw with Drake Maye last year. The difference is Jaxson Dart has Malik Neighbors. Drake Maye didn't have Malik Neighbors.
I don't know. I don't know how much Dart actually plays this year. If he does, obviously Dable has used a guy who knows how to run the football a lot in the past, so that could just be something he easily works into the offense. And just because he's also in this conversation, I will jump to Millie's question. Does Milroe win the job later in the year? I don't think he wins it later in the year. I think it is gifted to him if Sam Darnold sucks. That's how this whole thing
if Sam Darnold is struggling and the Seahawks need a boost, 1,000%.
They're going to go Milroe.
We will see Jalen Milroe. Yeah. The thing is, though, you're not going to bank on, this is why I didn't bring up Shedeur Sanders, right? You're not going to bank on a third-round pick, a third-round rookie pick. You're not going to bank on a fifth-round rookie pick. But you're going to bank on a first-round rookie quarterback that has the opportunity to come in. And even another guy that's not even on this list that we should be talking about, Tyler Shugg. Like, he was a second-round pick. Derek Carr went through and retired. He's going to get an opportunity. He has some weapons there to throw to. Again, we're talking about opportunity, at least for this year.
Yeah.
I'm okay saying there's an opportunity for him to have some success. I'm not looking at it past that because this team sucks and the Saints are probably going to end up with a top 5 draft pick. And you don't have anything invested in Tyler Shugg to point you off of drafting a quarterback.
Does Tyler Shugg not just scream Will Levis right now?
1,000% he does.
We all have opportunity.
But again, there's going to be opportunity this year.
We all have opportunity. And when opportunity like Vita Vea comes smacking you in the mouth, that opportunity dwindles pretty quickly.
Speaking of Vita Vea, totally off topic, but I absolutely find it so hilarious that the Bucs were one of the 22 teams that voted in favor of banning the tush push. And then the moment
they have
that
the one player who can stop it,
their social media goes through and posts about having Vita Vea and Desmond Watson, the 460-pound defensive tackle from Florida,
they drafted
guy, to stop the tush push. And I'm just like, you were already trying to stop it.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't stop it. So, like, it's
funny to me. Social team doesn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I know, but
they had that locked and loaded. They were ready.
Guys. Exactly.
I love it. Cole, potential rookie of the year. Hello, Ashton Genty.
It feels pretty well locked in. Cam Ward is obviously got to be the front runner. But if Ward missteps, because all awards are QB awards. If Ward missteps, it doesn't feel like it could really be anyone else.
If Carter gets double-digit sacks, maybe.
But
I was thinking offensive. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, they split them. Sorry.
Yep.
They split them offensive, defensive. It should be Genty.
Yeah.
Unless the receiver has a Puka Nacua type year.
If one of Ward or Genty had better odds, I would put my money on the one that's going to pay me more. It's one of those two, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are going to be the 2 early favorites because they were the 2 highest drafted offensive players. But I mean, if Ted McMillan comes out and has 130 targets and 10 touchdowns, 1,000%, he's going to be in that conversation. I mean, we all expect Ashton Genty to have over 300 touches. So that's going to give him plenty of opportunity. But if the Raiders were only winning 6 games.
What's the suckers bet on Shedeur Sanders? What do you think that line is?
Oh,
5,000?
Probably stupid. He may not even make it out of training camp. That's just the reality.
If it's anything under 10,000, you're burning money.
I was like, there's going to be a suckers bet where they're like, oh, Shedeur's like 7,000. Let me throw $10 on it.
Don't do it.
Be interesting. Quincy, running backs 1 through 4, rank them. Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson. Hampton 1.
I'll answer since Ryan's looking up his rankings.
Yeah.
For me, it's Henderson, Hampton, Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey.
I'm looking up
Henderson over Hampton.
Yep.
Okay, what's the line here, Ryan?
He is only plus 4,000.
Oh, that's a sucker's bet. They're gonna make so much money off that. They're going to make so much money off
media and fandom for Shedeur Sanders is stupid right now.
Dude, that's crazy. Did Mel Kiper set the line?
When was the draft? Everything that happened on no. This was after he got drafted. Because the article's from April, but plus 4,000 is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Sorry, I have these guys ranked exactly how the list is. By the way,
I'm shocked to put Henderson over Hampton, Josh.
No, I just think he's a better talent.
Yeah,
he was my RB2 all season.
Yeah, Josh has had Hendo ahead of him. So.
I think that there's so much more that Henderson does better than Hampton that, people just kind of looked at, some of the injury history at Ohio State. They looked at, the crowded backfield, whatever. Hampton's got Najee Harris in front of him. Sure, that's not anything special, but what the fuck have we seen from Ramondre Stevenson? So,
hey, don't trash talk my dog.
I was gonna say,
okay,
but I'm just saying, both these guys have equal opportunity to be successful. Sure, it makes more sense. Bet on the first round running back. They're going to get a lot more opportunities. You know what? The same exact draft class produced first round pick Rashad Penny and second round pick Nick Chubb. How did that work out?
Yeah.
So this is very easily a situation where Henderson can outperform Hampton. I don't look at first round running backs really that much differently than second round running backs, especially when those running backs are also top 40 picks.
I do want to give Josh credit on that. Any running back taken ahead of the third round, that's the same. Unless it's top 10. Those kind of go into their own class.
Yeah, Genty to me is in a category all on his own.
Yeah. To Josh's point, split these into two groups. You can make an argument for Hendo Hampton. They're definitely the 1 and 2. You can make an argument for Johnson over Harvey. They're definitely the 3-4. No one from the 3-4 is jumping the 1-2 is the best way to put it. I have them how you have them ranked. But if you have strong feelings about Caleb Johnson, very smart people do. You could easily put Caleb Johnson.
His play style fits Arthur Smith's offense.
Yeah. If Caleb,
like to a T.
Right now for my season-long projections, I have not given Caleb Johnson all of Najee Harris's work. If you believe that Caleb Johnson is taking all of Najee Harris's work, he is the 3 by far.
When you look at this list, Caleb Johnson is the only one that has a clear path to 300 rush attempts.
1,000%.
But did Nick Chubb ever drop 221 yards and 4 touchdowns in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl?
No. He never
he
played
didn't.
in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. He's playing.
No, he didn't.
National championship.
Yeah.
Did Rashad Penny ever rush for 1,500 yards in a season?
No, but he rushed for 221 in the single bowl game against Army.
I'm not talking college. I don't give a shit about college.
Right?
I'm talking about the NFL.
He did that. He did that against fucking soldiers. He said, "Thank you for your service."
Soldiers.
221 yards.
Jesus.
Army put up 21 on San Diego State in the fourth quarter. How's that possible? They don't throw. How's that possible? They completed 1 pass for 6 yards in the game. In total in that game, there were 31 passing yards on 7 completions.
I went to my very first year of college. I went to Ohio University down in Athens, and I didn't know a lot about their football team at the time. And I was watching an interview with their quarterback. Still is, yes. And it was bad. It was bad in the year 2001 as well. I was watching an interview with their quarterback, and they're like, and here is where you completed your only pass of the game. And I was like, what the fuck did you just say? I was like, your only pass.
Sorry,
You're the starter.
Josh said Rashad Penny, and I had to pull up his bowl game stats, and it got funnier when I realized how the total in game was 7 completions for 31 yards and 1 interception.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Honestly, either of them could play quarterback for the New York Giants and start today. So, like, in the Colts. Yeah. Steven, guys' thoughts on Jaden Reed. Says he still believes he could be the number 1 on the team.
I like him. I'm getting him in a ton of best ball drafts right now. He's still.
So here's my question. He's probably the 1 on the Packers.
100%.
But that's like a 3 on it. Yeah, but that's like a 3 on every other team.
Yeah, in fact, where do I have him?
That's the problem here, Steven, with Green Bay, is they don't have an alpha. So when you have a bunch of 3s, the ball gets spread around too much for Jaden to really do much for you in fantasy football.
So what's interesting is I actually have him at wide receiver 29, which is exactly where he finished last year.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not going to set the world.
He's a wide receiver 3 in fantasy. I mean, he's straight up boomer bust. No Packers wide receiver last year averaged more than I think it was 5.9 targets per game.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. Are you willing to put a boomer bust guy
in your flex?
In the flex?
Yeah.
Like that's what you have to ask yourself.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, that's what your flex should be, is your boomer.
I was just going to say, that's how I use my flex.
You want to maximize your upside in those.
But I mean, like, in these best ball drafts that I'm doing right now, he's my wide receiver 3. I've probably drafted him. I'm in 7 drafts. I probably drafted him 4 times as my wide receiver 3.
I'd argue he's definitely a lot more valuable in best ball because the way that they utilize him as a runner, like he can win you weeks. Like,
and his ADP in best ball right now is 94, if I remember correctly. So he's an 8th round pick. So I'm
that's valuable.
Steven asking if we don't think that'll change this year. Steven, the wide receiver room is the exact same, and they added a first round pick. It's harder for him.
One of the things that Josh and I have kind of learned since doing projections, this is going to sound all shit doesn't change. These coaches do exactly what they've always done. These quarterbacks do exactly what they always done. They're going to spread the ball evenly.
100%. Following up on the rankings that we have for running backs, I think Scadabo's probably 5 when you rank all of them there.
Well, if you're looking at those 4, then he would be the 5.
But if Scadabo can earn carries, I like Scadabo.
I still personally, though, I would take Quinshon Judkins over
Oh, that's a good point. I have
RJ Harvey and
easily.
Caleb Johnson and Scatterbo.
Yeah, I forgot about
Quinshon
Quinshon
Judkins
Judkins.
is 3.
Yeah, and I think he even got brought up in the chat, and I still missed it. You're absolutely right. Quinshon Judkins belongs in that discussion.
Well, yeah. Talk about a guy that we talk about. Caleb Johnson is a clear path to like the starting role. Quinshon Judkins is like the starting role. Who's in front of him?
And we've said
Nobody
it for
right
years.
now.
Exactly.
Jerome Ford is just a
cut.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jerome Ford is just a guy. He just happens to be just a guy who is always available for the Browns.
Yes. So like Quinshon Judkins is outside of Genty, the only rookie right now that like is probably like 99% locked into an RB1 role week 1. Caleb Johnson, you could also argue that, but Jalen Warren has obviously been
and it's not like the
productive and
coaching
good.
staff changed. They love Jalen Warren there. So
Yes. And again, you could argue Trevion Henderson.
But to talk specifically about Scat, the biggest issue you have with Scat, he and Tyrone Tracy complement each other so fucking perfectly that this is going to be the most beautiful 50-50 split you've ever seen. It's going to be
frustrating for fantasy.
It's going to be great for the Giants. It's going to be terrible for fantasy. And I do mean great for the Giants very loosely because they are a 1-7 team after 8 weeks.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Mr. Magic, rank these 3 in redraft. Getting back to the quarterbacks. Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy. And this kind of perfectly segues us into some landmines here.
Just about to say that.
Yeah, so top 12. And this is the landmines segment. Because again, top 12, you are...
I just realized his question is my landmines.
Yeah. So here's the thing. And we say landmines because you are, in essence, reaching for a quarterback with these picks. In theory, you're reaching for a quarterback. Now, you feel pretty confident in guys like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You feel pretty confident in those guys. You can even put Jalen Hurts in that conversation as well. I'm not going to put Joe Burrow in there because injury history and things like that. But you have Allen at 1, Lamar at 2, Jaden Daniels at 3, which is a deservingly so, skyrocket up after year 1.
He statted out as my QB1. I posted my projections on my Twitter today. Daniels is my QB1 right now.
Yeah. Hurts is 4.
I don't know.
Joe Burrow's 5. Patrick Mahomes.
Project.
Ryan loves to overproject. Patrick Mahomes is 6.
Dude, looking at your projections, I think I overprojected.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is 7. Bo Nix 8. Kyler Murray at 9. Caleb Williams at 10. Jared Goff at 11. Brock Purdy at 12. A reminder that last year, Anthony Richardson, not at this point in time, week 1 was ranked inside the top 5 for fantasy quarterbacks.
I mean, shout out, and I don't mean this in any mean way. Shout out to Field Yates. Field Yates set the Anthony Richardson QB5 thing off, and the people who really like Field Yates dove in. And I don't have a problem with Field Yates, but we just didn't see it.
So when I originally saw the landmines question, all 3 of the names that Mr. Magic put up here, Goff, Kyler, Purdy, very clearly struck a chord with Ryan as well.
Yeah.
And Magic, I will spoil. Josh's number 1 guy is Jared Goff as well on this list.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like we should talk about Goff, and I feel like I'm going to let Josh talk. You can go too, Joe. It's just Josh has been in on this Detroit taking a step back for a while.
Well, it's collectively, what do they look like without Ben Johnson?
Yep.
That's the
I guess
Josh, you can dive more into it, but that's just when you break it down to its core. What does Jared Goff look like without Ben Johnson?
Yeah,
it's probably bad.
Well, here's what he looked like with Ben Johnson. 3 straight years of over 4,400 passing yards and 29 or more passing touchdowns. But when we talk about fantasy finishes, when you look at those 3 years where he had astronomical passing stats, only once was he a top 12 quarterback. So that alone should tell you that even in a Ben Johnson offense, which we all love, a third of the time was he even a top 12 quarterback. So why are we putting him in this conversation without the good offensive coordinator? Because Johnny Morton has 0 history of calling a quality offense. He has all the toys in the world right now, which is great. But if you don't know how to call plays, and I can speak to this as a guy that watched Brian Johnson fumble the talent in 2022 that the Eagles had, or 2023, excuse me. Like, if you don't know how to call plays, it does not fucking matter the kind of talent that you have. So if Johnny Morton's not going to be in Jared Goff's ear the same way that Ben Johnson was. They're not going to do things the exact same way.
And there's the fact that the head coach is a very much defensive guy. So if Morton fails, there's no fail safe. So
correct. And aside from that, Jared Goff offers zero when it comes to rushing floor. None whatsoever. Yep. So when you look at a top 12 ranking, the easiest landmines are the guys that don't have a rushing floor. Because if their passing falls off, they come right down the list.
Goff was very clearly like, to me, man, somehow with one eye, Josh got prettier. Oh,
yeah. Shout out to Kevin. Kevin just shared on his Twitter, weird medical thing going on with him. Went blind in his left eye. All our best, Kevin. I hope everything works out really well for you. I DM'd you earlier, man.
Love you, buddy. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. When I was looking at this list, I basically said everything after Joe Burrow except Baker Mayfield. I could see them finishing outside the top 12. And yes, Patrick Mahomes is in that conversation, folks.
So Mahomes was the very first person I wrote as my landmine, but I don't see him falling completely out of the top 12, which is why I took him out of this list for the other guys. And I'm a Caleb Williams guy, so I think he's like my QB 8 right now. I wasn't going to call him a mine, but I can certainly see him falling out of the top 12. But yeah, the other guys just made sense to me. Kyler's the interesting one because he does have that rushing upside. So
but does he? That's the
thing. Now he's got a linebacker as his wide receiver 1. You seen the pictures of Marvin Harrison Jr. right now?
Well,
that dude is jacked.
Well, here's the thing.
It's David Boston all over again.
We know what Kyler Murray is as a concept. He
was a top 10 quarterback last year, 572 yards, 5 touchdowns. So
100%. But Kyler Murray should be a 700 to 800 yard guy on the ground with 8 to 9 touchdowns. And that's where
I found that interesting too when I was projecting him. He's never been a high touchdown output guy.
Because they don't utilize him.
But I was like, they had crazy. James Conner. They had the guy before James Conner.
Well, and even now, you look at they have 2 top pass receiving options. That's it. It's Trey McBride and it's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
So
Michael Wilson.
That right there, it automatically just keeps the passing touchdown volume low. But again, what makes up for it? He's going to rush for 550 yards and probably 5 rushing touchdowns. But that's going to make up the not having the 30 plus output potential.
But that's the thing that's scary with this guy is he's not one. We never want to project injury, but you can project injury with this guy. He's fucking tiny. He's small. And if you're going to take this guy early as a quarterback, you need him to stay healthy. And if he's not putting up these big rushing attempts, these massive rushing yards,
he's already said he's going to run more this year. I bought in.
He said that last year. He said that last year.
No,
yes, he has. Yes, he had. Jonathan Gannon was like, "Oh, get ready. Kyler's excited in this offense."
No, so there's a difference between the coach saying he's going to run more and the player saying he's going to run more.
Yeah.
Insane.
Normally, I listen to the coach in that situation because the player can say whatever the hell he wants. He's going to run in the fucking
I would listen to the coach if he were calling the plays. Jonathan Gannon's a defensive guy. He has nothing to do with the offense.
I don't know. I don't trust Kyler Murray. I don't like him. I just wanted to bring up that Patrick Mahomes is not a lock inside the top 12 at all.
He's not. I think where did he finish?
He was QB 11 by 4 points.
Yeah, I have him as my QB 9. I mean, just looking at this list, and these are the really the 2 guys that I wanted to focus on were Goff and Baker Mayfield. And again, it's the same thing with Goff. You're changing the offensive coordinators again. He had a flat out career season last year. There's regression that's going to be built in. And last year was the first year that he's ever thrown for more than 30 touchdowns, and he happened to throw for 41. So it would not surprise me one bit if he came back down to earth, especially when you look at Godwin's 29 coming off of an injury, Mike Evans 32. Yeah. The bottom could very easily fall out on those guys. And I'm not saying it will. I love both of them, and I want them to do well. But, again, he doesn't have that high rushing floor, so you're banking on touchdowns in that instance. So the passing yards, if they fall off a little bit, he's going to come tumbling down this quarterback list if everybody stays healthy, which we know is not going to happen. So,
yep.
But the other guy that I mentioned was Bo Nix, and it really just boils down to experience. Like, I think he's going to be this because I wasn't expecting 400 plus rushing yards last year, and he ended up doing it.
Caught
Does
me
he
by
end up
surprise.
doing it again? Maybe. I don't know. But I also wasn't expecting 29 passing touchdowns. That wide receiver room did not get much better. Like, you throw
Didn't get
Pat
any
Bryant
better.
in the conversation.
Yeah.
Didn't. Like, I don't.
No.
Nobody was really talking about Pat Bryant at all. And now he's got 3rd round draft capital, so everybody has to pay attention to him.
But let's just what wide receiver room did Sean Payton ever put together in New Orleans? Like,
exactly, he had a high target volume guy. Like, he had a Marquez Colston, he had a
Marcus
Michael Thomas,
Colston,
and then he had breakers, right? Like, he had guys that could get down the field. He's got that.
He's
Franklin.
building the same thing. Yeah,
he's
literally
building
doing the same
exact same thing. So all he needs is a distributor. 100%. Bo Nix showed that he could be that in year 1. Now defenses have tape. So how is he going to adjust, right? And that's all it is that I'm looking at. But because when you look at the passing numbers and everything else, when you're trying to compare him to Jaden Daniels in that, like sophomore slump kind of thing, Jaden Daniels has far exceedingly high rushing output, right? Like he can more than double what Bo Nix can do on a rushing perspective. But Jaden Daniels also had a higher completion percentage. He had a better touchdown interception ratio. So, like, didn't have as many passing yards, but now you go out and you get him a better wide receiver too. You get him a stout left tackle. Like, there's plenty of things that can now go right for Jaden Daniels. A 2nd year in the same system. Same thing for Bo Nix. But again, Bo Nix wasn't a top 5 quarterback last year. Again, he feels like a landmine in this instance if we're picking on these guys. But to me, really the only 2 when I'm looking at my projections, it's Goff and Baker.
So I want to bring up what Sean Payton is building. Cortland Sutton is Marcus Colston.
Yep.
Better, but he's Marcus Colston.
Yep.
Do you remember Devery Henderson?
Ooh. Yes.
Remember Lance Moore?
Oh, I haven't gotten, shut up. I haven't gotten to Lance Moore yet. All right. That's the best fucking guy of the receivers, not named Marcus Colston. Robert Meacham.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I was a big Robert Meacham guy.
You remember playing fantasy football in 2009, 2010, and you had a Saints receiver on your roster, and you wanted to throw your desktop across the room onto your box TV because you had Marcus Colston, but somehow Lance Moore dropped 30, like
Marcus
30
Colston.
spot.
Marcus Colston was the original fantasy football cheat code. They coded him as a tight end his first year in the league, and he dominated. So
like, but that's the thing is Marcus Colston, Cortland Sutton, and then you have literally the field. You have the field. And talk about Jeremy Shockey. Guess who Sean Payton just got as a tight end? Evan Ingram. So like he's doing the same thing he did in New Orleans. And not to mention
the difference is Bo Nix is not Drew Brees.
Correct.
It's Drew Brees light.
Yes.
Can he get there? Maybe, sure. I don't know.
Brees with legs.
But there's a different component because he can offer a rushing floor that Drew Brees never had. But Drew Brees throwing 3 straight years over 5,000 yards, we're probably never going to see that with Bo Nix.
Yeah, I will say the 2-headed monster of Reggie Bush and Pierre Thomas in the backfield now.
Ooh.
Don't get it tripping. That was a nasty backfield. But for a receiver room, Sean Payton didn't give a shit who Drew Brees is throwing the football to. So it's kind of the same thing.
That's how you end up with zeros across the board for Cortland Sutton in week 7.
Yeah. But then you're like, oh shit, is Sutton good? And then he drops 100 and 2 touchdowns next week.
Cortland Sutton
on Payton works.
Cortland Sutton made our drop list on our waiver show, and we had to eat those words immediately.
I could have told you not to do that because that's who Sean Payton is. You were contemplating 2 bad weeks from Marcus Colston. You're like, should I drop him? Like he was like the 3rd, 4th receiver I picked. Then he goes out and drops 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, and you're like, okay. Well, that sucks.
Me and Josh had to own up to that one last year.
Oh, Mr. Magic is Warren a good sleeper pick late round.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Getting him everywhere in best ball right now. You guys are literally asking about the best ball teams I'm building, and you don't even.
Are we talking Jalen Warren, the running back, or Tyler Warren, the tight end?
Jalen Warren,
I hope you mean Jalen
because we brought this up talking about Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So this has to be Jalen Warren.
Yeah, he did ask it immediately.
Yeah, I mean there's been reports that have come out saying that Jalen Warren is going to get first crack at being the lead back. But everything that Jaylen Warren did last year does not line up with how Arthur Smith wants to run the football, like the style of plays, the outside zones, all that stuff. Everything that Caleb Johnson does.
I was going to say,
again, you hear me say this all the time, square peg, round holes, right? Caleb Johnson, square peg into a square peg.
Let me be perfectly clear. I do not
Steve.
want Jaylen Warren to be the lead back. Give those carries to Caleb Johnson.
And then let Warren come in.
Pass catching.
Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris split targets evenly last year, 48-48. Caleb Johnson is not that guy. If you can get Jaylen Warren to 75 or 80 targets, he becomes so fucking interesting in fantasy football.
And he'll still be a bowling ball as a 1B as a running back.
Yeah, so, 120 carries last year. I'm fine if he stays at the 120 to 130 range as long as we're seeing those targets bump up to 80, 85. So
you want Warren as a 1B. I have Chase Brown and Jaylen Warren as my 2 dynasty running backs, and I'm not mad about it.
No, yes. I refuse. So I was shopping Jaylen Warren to the Najee manager so much last year, and he would not pay even like a 3rd round pick for him. Now people are coming at me for Warren, and I'm like, no, fam, I'm holding him at this point. So.
No, Warren is set up with some really good value right now. And Steven, what's the predictions on how the receivers are going to eat on the 49ers? Ayuk coming off a significant injury. Magic throws out there another Jawan Johnson masterclass. I'm going to look up the
I'll jump in as captain coach speak, and they recently mentioned that Jawan Johnson is their wide receiver 1. Like those words.
Yeah, because he's the best receiver on the roster.
Jawan Johnson, not the wide receiver 1. Jawan Jennings, they said they're expecting him to come into the 2025 season as the wide receiver 1. It opened some eyes for me because I was projecting a mini Ricky Pearsall breakout, and I'm pulling back on that a little bit now. So
let's be honest here. The wide receiver 1 in San Francisco
is not a good fantasy asset.
Christian McCaffrey.
You're talking maybe 110 targets. Let's be real here.
Wait, hold on. They just paid their quarterback 5 years, $265 million. You're telling me he's not going to throw the football more?
Yeah,
they're going to throw the football, but it's not going to be 575 times. That's not this offense.
Well, why would you pay a quarterback so much money? That's not that good.
Because that's the marketplace. Because if you lowball him at 40, he's going to tell you to shove it up your ass, plain and simple. Or at least his agent will, one or the other. So that's just the marketplace. I say this all the time. When coaches tell you who they are, fucking believe them, plain and simple. Kyle Shanahan does not call an offense to where a wide receiver is going to have 130, 140 targets. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan's
you're talking about a 21, maybe a 22% target share. That's it. When George Kittle has breakout seasons, it's because Christian McCaffrey gets hurt. It's because the wide receiver 1, the wide receiver 2 gets hurt. George Kittle is more often than not the 3rd target in this offense. It's the wide receiver 1, it's the running back, it's the tight end. The problem is for San Francisco, in the sense of they don't want to target the tight end position as much. They have to because Kittle's the only one that stays healthy, which I wasn't saying 3 years ago. Right now, I still have it as Brandon Ayuk as my wide receiver 1 until they literally tell me and show me otherwise. But Juwan Jennings is their slot guy. That's not their wide receiver 1.
I think they put Pearsall in the slot and they put Jennings outside. That's what it should be.
Well, if that's the case, then I'll flip the other 2, but that's still only a 14% target share for Jennings, and that, for me, only comes out to 75 targets.
To Josh's
mean anything
point,
unless he has 20 yards per reception.
To Josh's point, I have Ayuk at 101. I have Jennings at 98. I have Pearsall at 77 targets. They are my wide receiver 42, 44, and 54. Like, I just don't want any of them. So.
Under Kyle Shanahan, Julio Jones did not catch a touchdown pass until week 9.
Yep.
Julio Jones, who was arguably the 2nd best receiver of his time behind Antonio Brown. Say what you will about him as a person, Antonio Brown was the best receiver of his generation. It's probably not even close.
So what's funny is I think I've become so jaded by him as a person, I forget. I feel like I want to go back and watch Antonio Brown too.
He's just, it's unfair.
I don't remember how good he was. I'm openly willing.
Unbelievable. It's Brown and Julio, and if you want to flip flop, I'm sure. But to me, it is Antonio Brown.
I feel like
he's the one.
So do we not consider? I might be getting my years mixed up here. So AJ Brown would certainly be in that conversation. Or
AJ Brown is not in the same generation. AJ Green is, but he is not. I mean, I love AJ Green. He's not Julio or Antonio Brown.
And then Calvin Johnson was before those guys. Okay,
earlier. Yeah. The tail end of Megatron's career was kind of the beginning.
That's
of
what
AD
I thought.
and
Okay,
Julio.
so yeah, we're not considering them contemporaries.
Correct.
So, okay.
Yep. Spock, give, I imagine, Omarion Hampton and Rashee Rice for Bucky Irving and AJ Brown.
Sounds like a Josh and Ryan trade we're trying to work out right now.
12-team Superflex PPR tight ends get. So I imagine a 1.75 tight end premium.
It doesn't affect this trade at all anyway. So
6 more passing touchdowns. So basically he'd have, it would be CMC. It'd be Bijan, Bucky Irving, CMC, Alvin Kamara, with Puka, Travis Hunter, Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, AJ Brown.
To me, this is all about who do you like better. And
yeah, it's pretty even.
I am a Bucky over Hampton guy. I'm an AJB over Rashee Rice guy. So for me, it's the Bucky AJB side all day.
Yeah, Spock and I were going back and forth in the comments on one of the videos earlier this week. And I told him, because he was getting a lot of offers for Hampton when he took him. And one of the offers, it was basically him getting immensely older making this deal, right? Coming back with this trade, you're still getting a younger running back with Bucky if you give up Hampton, right? Maybe you're getting a slightly older wide receiver in AJ Brown over Rice.
Wide receiver.
But when you look at what he already has at the wide receiver position, getting AJ Brown, that's not changing your roster much at all. Like, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have Puka
that's
Nacua,
fair.
You have Travis Hunter. Like, those are all young pieces anyway.
I can see where you're going, yeah.
And now you don't have the health problems with AJ Brown that you currently have with Rashee Rice. So, yeah, like, I'm perfectly fine making this deal if you prefer one of these to the other, but they're very even right down the middle.
Yeah, if you have a distinct feeling about any of the four of these guys, go with that side. You're not gonna. I'm not gonna fault you one way or the other. I personally, big Bucky Irving guy. Big AJ Brown guy. For me, it's very easily that side, but I wouldn't say anything negative if you're like, it's the other side. I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. So,
where did Rashee Rice go to college, Ryan?
SMU.
Yeah, so I'm on that side of the trade just for that reason.
Yeah.
And Rashee Rice is attached to the best thrower of the football.
So I want to use Spock as a kind of a cautionary tale, if you will, because this is something God, who said it, Josh? I think it was Kevin Coleman who said, trade these picks before they're drafted.
That's true.
I traded the 102 in a league where a guy apparently really wanted Omarion Hampton. I knew I couldn't get Genty. I traded the 102 for, I promise you this is an actual trade, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and CMC in a one quarterback league for Omarion Hampton.
Jesus.
I don't know.
Fall in love with players. They do.
Yep. And I don't know. And if I had drafted Hampton at 2, I don't think I could have made that trade. But nobody scoffed. Nothing like that. So,
I mean, Hurts' value is downgraded because it's a one quarterback league. So I get that aspect.
Yep.
CMC being older. No, it is in the grand scope of dynasty. You're not trading for Jalen Hurts from a price perspective
in a
one
super
quarterback
flex, nobody's
that you
even
would
considering
in a
offering me this trade.
Like, I could very easily get 3 first-round picks for Jalen Hurts in a super flex league. I would be hard pressed to be able to get 2 in a one quarterback.
So the guy offered me AJB and Hurts straight up for the 2. I asked for CMC and threw in like 2 third-round picks that I had as like bonuses, and he smashed accept. And I'm laughing all the way to my championship next year. Though Josh pointed out, if CMC tears that Achilles, I might be wishing I had Omarion Hampton.
But like,
it was a wild ass trade.
That guy's betting Omarion Hampton
is Ashton Genty.
It was Adrian Peterson. No, it was Adrian Peterson. Like
100%.
That's who Omarion Hampton needs to be. Is Adrian Peterson with receiving upside.
Yeah.
Like,
so
that's crazy.
So you like, to me, the Omari and Hampton trade value. I was gonna say this. I love Bucky and AJB, and I would accept this trade. But the Omari and Hampton trade value might be astronomical, and you might need to explore it a little bit, because I am a benefactor of a wild ass Omari.
Not every league is created equally, right?
100%.
That is sure. Sure. I wish I could trade the 102.
When I saw AJ Brown and Hurts for the 2, I knew I was going to accept it, but I don't just accept. I was like, all right, let me see what else I can finesse this guy for. And he had CMC on his trade block. I said, let's see what we can do here, buddy.
Yeah, that's one way to end the show. That's
robbery.
Robbery.
I had to put on my CJ Gardner-Johnson mask and go in there and take what I wanted.
My God, like that is the classic phrase from the league. Like, my goodness,
it is. But yeah, it was a wild ass trade that I did not expect to go down that way.
Dang, that is
indeed.
Sure. I mean, at this point, I'm just hoping that Omarion Hampton has a 2,000-yard season and just shoves
so
it
I
to
feel
you.
so fucking stupid.
So he just shoves it to you, but I know that's not going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, first off, didn't expect the show to go 90 minutes with all the questions. First off, thank you.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Appreciate you guys. It feels good to be back in the redraft mode, and you guys definitely showed out tonight. So
yes, because while it is fun to talk about what we have planned to talk about, it's also a lot more fun when you guys bring questions and topics to the table that we might not have even thought of, and we get to have a little fun with it. So we appreciate you guys. Next week, same thing, running backs. So breakouts and sleepers at the running back position next week. You guessed it, receivers and tight ends right after that as well. And then that takes us into pretty much our revamped a look inside, correct? After that,
we'll talk more about that off the air. But yeah.
Oh my God! Wow! Ooh, wow! I get insider information. Oh, crazy! You guys learn more of that. But next week, running backs, breakouts, and sleepers. So that one will also be a very interesting one, especially with the rookie incoming class of a heavy loaded rookie running back class. For Josh, Ryan, myself, you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL, clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships. Offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week.